Good evening and welcome to Legacy After the Locker Room. I'm your host, Kayla Bradham, here tonight with a very special guest, Liffort Hobley, NFL alumni. Good evening, Liffort.
How are you, Kayla? Thank
I'm
you for
doing
having
great.
me.
Absolutely, Lifford. I'm so blessed that you're joining us tonight because you are a man who's doing great work in the community. Really an honor and a privilege to talk about the things you're doing to work in communities to create hope and possibility through sports. Appreciate
Well,
you.
well, you know what? That's how my life actually began. So yes, to give back is something of a pleasure. That's for sure.
Let's talk about how your life began. Will you take just a few moments and walk us through sports for Lifford Hobley, the little boy?
Well, I started, of course, just learning how to play each and every sport as a little boy, just like most kids do. And fortunately for me, I had a lot of influence coming out of Shreveport, Louisiana. As we know, there's a lot of great athletes that came before me. A few Hall of Famers, a few Super Bowl champions from the '70s, and that was basically kind of one of those keystones opportunities for me to actually look at something that would who knew this guy would develop in an athlete into an athlete and go and play in the NFL just like some of his heroes back from my hometown, Shreveport.
I love it. And you actually had an extensive career in the NFL, 9+ years all told, correct?
Yeah, actually, that was fun. Getting started was kind of rough. So, you go through your rough patches as a rookie. And then, of course, if you ever experience getting cut a couple of times, you'll know what I mean. And to fight for that opportunity was the whole key. And I learned how to do that very quickly. Even getting drafted, you have to definitely be uh, on pins and needles on your A game all the time. Otherwise, it's a job. It's you get replaced very quickly.
And on this show, we talk quite often, honestly, that the business of the NFL is business. Business is alive and well in the NFL. It's a 17 billion, big boy billion-dollar business. You and I both know that if the NFL can find somebody just as good as you, a little bit better price, you're out.
That's for sure. Especially if they can definitely get it done, and that happens quite often, and that's what it's about. The best, basically get to play the game, and sometimes whatever who's ever out there is the best.
So Lifford, I got to tell you, I'm blessed to be joining this podcast, this video live stream, however people are watching or hearing it from Atlanta, Georgia tonight. I'm here in Atlanta at the NIL Influencer Summit with the best of the best, the best college athletes in the United States, talking about sponsorships, NIL. Clearly, this wasn't a thing when you were playing. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on NIL now? Is it something that you think is a good thing?
You know what? It can be good if it's of course it's something new. So we're still testing. It's kind of that test baby that just came out, and everyone likes the new shiny whatever it is. So I think it's good for the kids in sports in college financially based on what I do and how the things that I'm involved with, knowing what I know of in regards to the organization I work with, Tackle Hunger, you see a lot of things, but really don't hear about how many sports athletes are in college, but they're not getting the nutritional value they need to do what they do every day, and also to be a student. A lot of students go through those same situations, and today is just one of those days where you thank you for bringing me on so I can actually kind of voice my opinion in regards to NIL, and also the kids right now that are going through. Hopefully, this grows into each and every aspect of college sports, regardless of what level of the sport the kids are actually playing at. D1, D2, D3, they should have an opportunity as well. Don't think it's if they violate rules in the NCAA, regardless of what level you're on, you're going to get penalized. So why are we only rewarding a small group of athletes? That's the only complaint I have with that.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. And Lifford, I'll tell you, one of the neatest things for me being down here is speaking with the college athletes and asking them what they're passionate about. And I'm hearing things like, Kayla, if I could create impact, I would do something on human sex trafficking. I've heard people talk about mental health, empowerment. I'm so proud of these young athletes who are whole and complete people, just like the way you're working so hard to tackle hunger. Each of these athletes are more than just athletes. They're people with souls who want to give back. And that's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to see.
And if NIL could help them get started in that manner at this early age, it just makes this a great opportunity to have great young men and young ladies basically being rewarded. But they're working for it. They're not getting it for free. They have to keep up the grades. They have to make sure they're eligible to receive these rewards. So it's a great opportunity for them, and I hope they all take advantage of it in a positive manner.
I couldn't agree with you more. Let's talk about great opportunities, because a great opportunity unfolded for you after the Miami Dolphins, and that came as an NFL alumni. You had the opportunity to really use every experience in the NFL, your name, your image, your likeness, to go out into the community and make and create impact. Tell us a little bit about Tackle Hunger. No, don't tell us a little bit. Tell us everything there is.
Well, it's one of those opportunities where you're asked after spending time with a group of people for a few years, and this is my going into my sixth year as the NFL DFW chapter president. I also have other territories like Arkansas, and part of Louisiana. So it's a busy life for the NFL alumni president and the people behind me and all of my alumni friends in all those communities. We try and stay relevant. We try and do things that are good for the kids in the community and also for our own. So Tackle Hunger, it's one of those organizations that's been around and has raised over $170 million in the past 30 years. And there's some other organizations out there that are just as great. And I applaud them for all the efforts they put out and all of the friends that are actually and supporters that are working with the food banks in the different areas all over the country. It's great, but they can't do it all by themselves. They can't do it alone. And Tackle Hunger is willing to basically walk around and support each and every one of them. But we also need that support as well, because we are also a nonprofit. And we have people that actually are working diligently to basically, on very little support financially, to make this work. And we want all of the relationships we can build. This kind of impact on what we are doing and what we can do is not limited to any state, any city, and that's what I like about it. We have 40 plus chapters around the U.S., and the challenge is, getting all of the guys to put their arms around an organization like this and make an effort to help them get the word out. Also, build the relationships. So, Tackle Hunger, we have a heat map that we've mapped out across the country. We can actually go to any city, any state, and we can map out their pantries for them, where they're located, where their needs are, and basically fill those needs for each pantry, wherever they're located. And also, we're looking at schools in the middle school level, even on the elementary school level, to basically put pantries in all of the different areas so we can support the kids that are not getting the nutritional value at school for lunch or breakfast that they should be getting. I actually
Lifford,
visited a few schools
Lifford,
around. Yes.
I think there's something so important that we have to talk about that. First of all, thank you to anybody watching this show, for anybody listening. Our regular listeners know I live in Milwaukee. I have 8 kids. I'm a single mom. I will tell you, folks, that whether you have a 4-year-old in pre-K or a 350-pound linebacker who's a senior in high school, that free lunch, that free breakfast is exactly the same prepackaged size. So if you have a 350-pound linebacker, there is no way that student's nutritional needs are being met. And this is why what you're doing, Lifford, becomes so important.
That it is. And, I think we've lost focus in regards to our kids and what we do for them. When I go to certain lunchrooms, I'm watching kids eat products that I hate to see it, but that we feed prisoners. And that's just, it's an awful situation. I was
Yes.
at a school yesterday asking kids, what did you have for lunch? They had cheese pizza and milk, nothing but dairy. So, with that said, that's a prime example of watching something happen in real time, and it's just not it's not right. That's for sure.
It's
We can do
not
better.
right.
We can do better.
For sure. I shared with you earlier today, in full vulnerability, transparency. I was one of those kids who received free lunch. I grew up in poverty, and I realized real quick the power of a side hustle
Oh yeah.
to get you through the weekend, right? So I'll never forget my junior year in high school. I got pulled out of English class into the hallway with the teacher and the principal saying, Kayla, are you selling your free lunch tickets? And I looked and I was caught in that conundrum of what do I say? Because neither answer sounds good, right?
All right.
And I just looked and I just said, yes. And the principal said, Kayla, you can't sell your free lunch tickets. That's not what it's meant for. Which that sounds great. But the thing is, I wish I could have told my principal what you don't understand is money is tight at my house.
Right.
Food stamps don't feed us at my house. If I sell my free lunch ticket, I can go to the grocery store and I could buy a loaf of bread, a little jar of peanut butter, and a bunch of bananas. And if I could get a good price on my lunch tickets, I might even be able to get some milk or some yogurt. And I
Exactly.
could make that last for some dinners. I could make it last through the weekends. When I was in high school, I started waitressing and working at McDonald's to get those free meals. That's not what I want for my kids. We need to do better. It's like you said, we need to do better. We
That's for
shouldn't we shouldn't be in a position where kids are hustling their free lunch tickets so they
sure.
can buy groceries.
Or actually having their friend because their friend's in a better situation give them their meal so they can take home and have for later. Unfortunately, we live in communities and also people are struggling financially. We can't blame it on the pandemic. People have been struggling, and this has been a problem for many, many years. We just can't sit here and say, well, the pandemic, no, this has been going on for years and years. And there are too many food deserts in neighborhoods that should have the ability to have grocery stores, businesses, banks, all the other things that are a necessity that are just actually, privilege for others. I'm not sure why that is, but we have companies that are basically not doing business with the people that do business with them. They won't come to their community, but they want them to shop in their stores.
And Lifford, I'm going to make a really bold, big statement that's going to make some people angry. The reason we have that is because we're designed to have that. If
Exactly.
if we look at our communities, I live in the city of Milwaukee. If we look at our communities, we know that there are areas in our communities that do not have grocery stores. I know that I have areas in my communities where kids are coming home from school using their SNAP card to go to Walgreens to pay almost $5 for a sandwich.
Yes,
And we're all okay with that. For shame.
it is. It.
For shame.
Well, I believe that the people in the same communities actually have the voting power to put the right people in places that we need the support and true support, not just someone that's going to talk about it. People that will actually do it, that are impacting the organization, like Tackle Hunger, like my good friend Allison Reese that I work with, which is just a wonderful person. She's, of course, working on a very small budget. This is not a solicitation interview for anyone to take their wallets out by any means. And I'm just joking. Yes, it is. We would love any support and how you can impact and help this organization. And with the NFL alumni support, this is one of our partners. So we give basically an opportunity to not only this chapter, and I challenge my other presidents in the other chapters to take on this challenge, because what we're looking to do this fall, I like for each and every one of my former players, high school coaches, guys that can reach out to their universities. And their favorite game, we all go to our favorite game. My favorite game is LSU to Alabama. So this is what I'm projecting. Each and every one of us take on a challenge. Reach out to your universities, your high schools. We're looking for opportunities to work with those high schools and universities. We want to help put food pantries in your high schools, your middle schools, and your universities. Every universities, including not just the D1s, we want to take advantage and have a relationship with every university that have students that need support by providing opportunities to grow food pantries in each and every one of those locations. And with the Tackle Hunger heat map, we can keep up with the production, if it's high, if it's low, and let these great food banks and also the corporate partners that support the food banks, our local stores, our Costco's, our Kroger's, all of these large organizations, that if they actually wouldn't mind playing a little bit better in the relationship and also the who's the most popular market, it's about the kids, it's about feeding people. We should be able to get along and do that really easily.
Each one, love one, right? Lifford, I'm going to take just a moment and shout out our sponsor, Dugout Mugs, taking a moment to thank them for supporting this podcast, Legacy After the Locker Room, and for powering Sports Philanthropy Network. Use code Kayla30 to save 30% at your checkout with Dugout Mugs. Also, remember to catch the Legacy After the Locker Room live stream every Tuesday night at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. Lifford, question for you. I think a lot of people want to help and they just don't know where to get started. You have a great resource in the fact that I believe, and correct me that I'm wrong, but if people will send or gift money to you, you guys probably have the best way to be able to buy in bulk or to stretch that food dollar farther. Is that right when I say that?
That is correct. That's what Tackle Hunger is about. And we do have the ability to stretch that dollar for sure through certain resources, certain supporters that we have basically formed a relationship with over the years. And even the NFL teams, we actually have formed some relationships with over the years, like the Houston Texans. They support Tackle Hunger through some resources that they provided over the years. basically because of where the organization's actually hosted out of Houston. So it's great that they're supporting, but of course, if we can gather and gain more ground and get more supporters like that, it would make a major difference. And the reason I talk about this is one of those things where, like a kid myself, like you talked about, you are my neighbor. We were both neighbors as little kids. I'm looking at you. I'm hearing your story. I'm going, wow, that's me and my neighbor having the same issue with the free lunch tickets, and of course, not having possibly something available to you later on. But my mom worked one job for so many years, and I can never say I was hungry, but there were certain things she couldn't provide. She can provide, that extra dollar 25 a day for me to eat lunch. Free lunch was great. But actually back then, the kitchen was actually better because the people that worked in our cafeterias at high school, they actually cooked on property. And they actually produced a really, really solid meal that
Yeah.
was totally not what I see today.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting because you talked about the meal of cheese pizza and milk. And I had mentioned to you that I went to Washington Elementary School. The lunch lady's name was Flossie. And every day, Miss Flossie put 2 scoops of vegetables on my cafeteria tray. And it's like, looking back, I feel like Miss Flossie knew that this was a little girl who needed another serving of vegetables. And to this day, I can picture Flossie and the smile on her face because she created such an impact for me. And I was going to say, what led you to this? And it was being a tackle hunger kid yourself. But we talk about the Super Bowl of caring. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
That is basically one of those opportunities where we actually over 30 years have collected at big events like uh, the Super Bowl or football games. And that's the challenge I mentioned, where we can actually work together, uh, unify not only former players, but even people in the community that are alumni of different universities, where we can actually, well, I'm not, this is just one of the ideas I came up with this year. And with our group and our board, they like the idea that we've all talked about it, how we can do this. And I'm looking at LSU and Alabama. Actually, the first game of the season I'm looking at is LSU and Southern University on 9/11 for the first time ever, 15 minutes apart. First time they're engaging in a college football game. So my Tackle Hunger Challenge to that full stadium, every person in the stadium donate $1 at Tackle Hunger. If we can take $1 from 106 seats in the stadium, or 103 seats, however many the Monster, the Tiger Stadium holds, I think we can actually continue to process that in every football stadium around the country that our guys get involved with. That's all we ask, $1.
That literally brings tears to my eyes because you think it's only a dollar and a dollar can do so much.
Yes, it can. And
That's what's crazy.
so that's my project this year, to challenge my guys and others to participate in this, and of course the fans to get behind us, because I love college football. That's my thing, and I'd love to go to an NFL game in Miami or Arizona with my Cardinals and the Dolphins, both I played for, and do the same thing in their stadiums and have them involved in a big way.
I remember when the Super Bowl was in Tampa Bay, Sports Philanthropy Network, we were able to go to a food drive at a church, part of this legacy grant where the NFL is on board. Some of the Buccaneer cheerleaders were there rallying support for people to drive through and drop off food. This is something that makes us feel good. If it feels good, do it, right? Like, I just want to
Oh
challenge
yeah.
everybody who's watching or listening, go through your cupboard. Just go through your cupboard tonight. And if you're not eating processed foods right now, go ahead and donate. You know, if your kids aren't going to eat the peas in your cupboard, go ahead and donate them. But even more than that, send some money to tackle hunger and let that just spread, because like you said, with the heat maps, you can reach out all over. And that actually leads me to something else. To be able to use heat maps to head up projects like this, Lifford, you've done a lot with the NFL alumni, with your position. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the things you've accomplished with your time on the board serving as president?
Well, over the years, we've actually developed some great relationships. I have a social justice partner in Hope Initiatives, and also health consulting. I have two social justice educators. They run their programs in the communities of Texas. We've migrated outside to Louisiana. We've migrated over to Missouri. We've gone to the West Coast. We're bringing athletes, children. Basically, now we're actually in the middle schools and elementary schools in the community today. We actually were working today in an elementary school to talk about the things that are needed, preparing kids to talk about opportunities for college already at that level. We're talking to the high schoolers about building better relationships with the police force in their community. When you see something, say something. I mean, it's your community. What do you want your community to look like? How safe do you want to be in your community? And, there's this stigma about every cop's bad. It's not the cops that's bad. It's the person that's bad. That's a cop. If he becomes a intolerable employee. So that's the whole game. And the way we actually resolve this, we have to work with people that are we expect to protect our houses, be that safe person to when I can walk the street at night and not have to worry about, and I see you riding by and I'm happy you're riding by. That's the kind of communities we should be living in. There's too many things going on in this country that are not just aren't right. There are a lot of things. I won't get into all of those, but let's focus on that part of it. And then, of course, we can hopefully better get opportunities to work with or other organizations like Community USA One, which basically is a great organization I've been working with for the past couple of years. They actually do a great service to a lot of communities. We're working on Shop Talk right now, and that's basically helping communities to see something, say something in the shops where you're talking about it, but you're not, the information is just laying dormant and no one's actually responding to it because you haven't told anybody about it. And, corruption happens everywhere. But if you're sitting right next to it and you're not saying anything about it, how can they fix it? How can we fix it? And that's one of the projects. But getting the others out there to help becomes a valuable asset. And that's everyone in the community that you live in. So those type of things. And then, of course, we have evolved into some educational programs. Just a year ago, we signed a partnership. You'll see on our platform, OU Works. And OU Works is an educational solution for any former player or anyone else to take advantage of a certification opportunity in a variety of markets. So taking one of these courses or several courses certifies you, and then of course those courses are college accredited by the University of Oklahoma. Here, look at me promoting University of Oklahoma. in an interview live, and I would probably say my LSU guys are just shaking their heads. But unfortunately, I say fortunately for us, we have the ability to build relationships. We have a great chapter in Oklahoma, and I deeply appreciate them stepping up and providing this service and putting it on our platform so our guys can have other options if they're not happy where they are, if they're having a hard time getting back into education. This is it's a kind of a step process, so you can take 1, 2, however many courses you like. Whatever you're looking to do, this is what we provide. And it's growing. We love to grow our alumni organization. We're a 501c3. So yes, there's a membership fee, gentlemen. It's $100 a year. Step up and just be a part of what we do. That's why we are here. It's your organization. When you walk out of the NFL, this is your organization. It was built by players for players.
And it's interesting you say that. I know we're out of time, but I was just listening to an NFL alumni today at the NIL conference say, listen, the NFL will use you, so use the NFL while you can. $100 is a small price to pay each year for the services that the NFL alumni provides. Lifford, speaking of community, I ask every guest on Legacy After the Locker Room to partner with me for my charity of choice, Special Olympics, with an autograph donation. Can we count on you for your support?
You certainly can. I will definitely sign and deliver something really nice. And you just tell me where I need to send it, and I'll have it delivered.
Thank you so much. Lifford, I want to give you just a moment or two to thank the people that you need to thank and to give us your parting words of wisdom.
Well, I want to thank Tackle Hunger, first of all, and the NFL alumni for giving me an opportunity to be in the spotlight for them and be that voice in the community here in the DFW and Arkansas. And of course, the relationship we have with the other chapters around the country. So with that said, we are coming up on one of our annual events in September. We have a Super Bowl of golf event that we get going, and we all play against each other. We have the winning team from each chapter in their tournament gets to go out to Palm Springs, California, to play against the other chapters. So we have about 38 teams in that tournament, and I can't wait to get out there in September to be a part of that. I have 2 teams coming from Dallas, so guys, be ready. My teams are hot. So I'd like to thank Tackle Hunger and all of the board members for giving me opportunity to be their voice tonight. And all of you out there that are supporting nonprofit hunger opportunities or food banks, keep doing that. Keep supporting the food banks. Keep supporting the nonprofit churches that provide food for their communities. Whatever you can do to help, they deeply appreciate it, and I can guarantee you they do.
Lifford, I want to say thank you so much. This is an important message. It's so close to my heart because I've been there, I've experienced it. I live in a community where I see people every day experience it. Even tonight, walking back from the College Football Hall of Fame to my hotel, I can't tell you how many people I saw on the streets in Atlanta where it's 99 degrees, hungry and thirsty.
Yeah.
And I would just say, greater love hath no man than this.
That's for sure.
That he would give his life, that he'd give his food and his drink for his friend. So, Lifford, thank you so much, folks. My name is Kayla Bradham. I'm your host of Legacy After the Locker Room, here tonight with NFL alumni Liffort Hobley, reminding you to live your legacy. Thank you so much, Lifford. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Kayla.